Our next speaker is Bob Ransom. Soldiers for Life, the story of Harry and Donna. The story of Harry and Donna, Soldiers for Life, Bob Ransom.
Harry was a soldier's soldier, the recipient of 2 Purple Heart medals in the Vietnam War. He was a hero to many. However, when Harry came home from the war, he started fighting another war with himself and with anyone else who crossed his path. Harry's story is one of violence, pain, and suffering on a rugged road to self-discovery. I met Harry the day he hired me to be his criminal defense lawyer. He was charged with felony assault, the result of his latest drunken bar fight. Harry was guiltier than guilty. There was no defense. As I reviewed his criminal history, page after pitiful page, one conviction after another from coast to coast, I was astonished by one fact. No judge had ever put Harry in prison. He had been given chance after chance, therapy after therapy, and failed every time. I asked him, Harry, how have you avoided going to prison? From somewhere deep behind sad and sunken eyes, he barely whispered, sympathy, my 2 purple hearts. I replied, well, Harry, that's fine, but the judge who's going to be sentencing you does not have a heart of any color. You are going to prison. The only question is for how long. Over the next 2 months prior to the sentencing hearing, I tried to learn as much about Harry as I could. He was raised from birth to be a warrior, to follow the family tradition of military heroes going back generations. One entire wall in his boyhood home was filled with medals and photographs of his heroic ancestors. So, following tradition, Harry enlisted in the U.S. Army. He lied about his age and at 17 years old, found himself in the jungles of Vietnam. On his first patrol, they were ambushed. Many of his comrades were killed. Harry miraculously was superficially wounded. He was patched up, and then, to ensure that his photo and medals would be on that wall, Harry volunteered to go back into battle. This time, in another firefight, huddled in a foxhole, friends on either side of him were blown to bits. Harry was wounded and sent home to start down his painful path of destruction. After Harry described the 2 firefights in the jungle, I asked him one question. Harry, how scared were you? That question triggered something in Harry, and he started to cry and then sob uncontrollably. I was not ready for what came next. He choked out the following words. Bob, I'm going to tell you something I've never told anybody. I'm a girl. I was born a girl, trapped in a boy's body. And the sobbing continued. Eventually, I heard about his struggles with his sexual identity from the earliest age he can remember. His life was a war. Every day a battle to be a boy, and then not just a man, but a manly man. The sentencing judge heard all of this, and I asked the judge to not give Harry another chance because Harry did not deserve another chance, but rather to give this person now standing by my side a first chance, a chance to prove that being herself, knowing herself, and sharing herself with the world was the only therapy she ever needed. It turns out the judge did have a heart. Harry was given one more last first chance and walked out of that courtroom a free person. And I never saw Harry again. 5 years later, a lady walked into my office wearing a cute print dress. Genuine warmth of her smile was matched only by the sparkle in her eyes. I stared at her. "Do I know you?" She laughed. "Bob, it's Harry. I'm Donna now. I am who I was always meant to be." I learned that Donna was a pioneer in the sex change operations performed in Trinidad, Colorado, and she had been a model citizen since that day in my office when she became herself. After Donna left my office, I thought, there goes a soldier's soldier, now fighting a different war. Only this time, it's a war I hope we are all fighting by her side. For that is the war against hatred, prejudice, and judgment of others for their sexual identity. In that war, Donna, once again, is on the front lines, a true and heroic soldier for life. Mr. Toastmaster.